Today I'm taking a look at this Viltrox Ninja 10 studio light. Keep in mind that Viltrox did send me this light to try out and make the video on. Let's get started. Obviously it's a very compact light. Its main focus would be in a studio with AC power, but it does include a V-mount battery adapter. Here's that V-mount handle. We got the battery connection, and this is where the light attaches to it. The light has a standard Bowens mount, very convenient, easy to find accessories for. For example, I have this snoot with the same connection. Obviously the snoot is not included. It's easy to use. On the top here there's a little switch. Pull that back, pull the reflector out in this case. If you want to put it back on, just align the 3 prongs into the mount and rotate. Let's take a look at some of the specifications of the light. It's a fixed 5600 Kelvin color temperature. You're going to get more accurate colors, but you won't have that built-in bicolor functionality of some other lights. You also get a lot of power considering it is the fixed color temperature. Maximum power 120 watts. It does have the wireless capabilities of all the Viltrox lights, 1 to 19 channels with 6 groups. Related to that, this accessory is not included, but it is available. The RC11 remote to do wireless stuff. The AC adapter is rather sizable, but in a studio setting that doesn't matter. And it's nice that they include this case connector thing for light stands. That way you're not going to be putting any strain on the cable. Seems pretty good there. Attach the barrel plug to the lights. AC adapter power connector. Seems pretty long. The light is running. Definitely has a fan inside. Let's turn it on. So you can set it to 0 power if you want to have it running but not outputting any light for whatever reason. I can simply rotate. Now we're at 100% power. Here's the back of the device. Relatively simple layout of buttons. We have the dial here that can be pressed, the mode button, and the on-off switch. So in this case with CCT mode, we've got power control on the dial, aim button, which will switch to the scene modes. If you hold down the aim button, we can go into a setup menu. In here we can adjust the wireless channel, so let's put on 3 and leave it on group A. Mode button again. While in setup you have your fan settings here. The optional remote we can try out real quick. Turn this on, adjust power here as needed, turn it off, or at least turn the light output off. Besides using the optional remote, which is I think the easiest way to go about it, you can use their app. In this case it's called WeLight Pro, which is the same company as Viltrox. The only way I was able to find this Pro version, they have WeLight on the App Store, which might work. I had to use this QR code on the instructions to get to this. So you can see that on the screen. In this case channel 3, group A is what we want to get to. And it just found it right away, so that was easy. We have the power slider on the bottom. A lot of the functionality in the app is going to depend on your lights. So in this case, the fixed color temperature and the scene modes. We've got the CCT mode, or the RGB in this case. The RGB is not going to do anything for us. You can adjust the power of each one and the speed of each one. I'm going to do a quick test between the Ninja 20 and the Ninja 10, see what differences the light output will get. My camera is set to 1/60th of a second at 5.6, ISO 640. Both seem bright. Check out the power that this is using from the wall. In this case, around 3 watts, just running idle with the actual output on 0%. 25%, around 39 watts. Around 72 watts for 50%. Around 103 watts for 75%, pulling 138 watts for 100% power on the light. One of the key features of this light is using it with a battery. In this case, we've got the V-mount connector plus this grip with a tripod connection on the bottom of that, and the connector for the light. We've got the V-mount battery, 150 watt hours, 7,800 milliamps. I have to figure out which direction is best. Probably want to be careful with this just based on how much weight is going to be placed on it. This barrel plug to the lights. There is a D-tap on the side. Definitely has some heft to it, but it will depend on what battery you're using. In this case. So it is able, at least with this specific battery, to go to 100% power, which is pretty cool. Yeah, I could see that being useful. So if you're out in the field, you want some serious studio light going. I can feel the heat. I can feel the heat. I'm not going to be able to test out this functionality more than what we see here, but at the very least, it can do 100% power with a V-mount battery. And of course, doing wireless will work just fine with this as well. So if you had another person adjusting the light wirelessly, one person holding it. Here are a few examples with the Ninja 10. This is the main lights. There are a few other just general household lights running at the moment. So this is definitely the main source. In this case, I have a Z5 and I'm using the optional remote to control. You can use the app, but I'm using the app for my camera at the moment. Put on the reflector. Very, very bright. With the reflector, definitely enough power to do in this situation where I'm at arm's length with the Ninja 10. There's a snoot, not included. Got a snoot going at 10% power. Probably the main type of modifier you'd use with this light is a softbox. We're gonna try that out. All right, took some effort, but managed to fit this softbox in my tiny filming area. 10% power is basically right next to me, and it looks good. I don't have any complaints. Going to bump up the power so that the camera has more light to work with. 50% power. I'm going to use f5.6 on this lens to get better image quality out of it. 1/60th of a second, f5.6, ISO 200, 100% power on the lights. Here I've got the exposure of my videos with the camera going 1/60th of a second, f3.5, ISO 200. For this video camera, 1/60th of a second, f4, ISO 200. Currently have the light at 65% power with the single diffusion going. It seems to be pretty sufficient for my small compact setup. Yeah. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. Keep in mind that Viltrox did send me this light. I will be keeping it. It's Captain Banzai. Thanks.